Thursday's ChathamNC Sports Roundup as usual. I need to make sure I can go through and everything's live. Data is being sent out. I need to put in some startup music instead of y'all listening to me yik yakking. All right, Facebook is good right now. We're waiting for YouTube to connect. YouTube has connected and X is connected. So, folks, welcome. We're on Facebook. We're also on YouTube and X. Thank you for joining us. Hey, it's the Chatham NC Sports Roundup with myself and Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. He's the best sports writer we have here in the county. Here's the rundown of our agenda. We're going to talk about Chatham County high school football. It's playoff season's come to the end. Also, roundup on the soccer playoffs. Basketball season has kicked off. Asheebo will be talking about some of the games that have been played. Touch base on indoor track as well as high school wrestling. There's some of that has started as well. And then, of course, we'll get into what Asheebo has in today's or this week's Chatham News and Record that comes out today, and everyone's favorite Asheebo's Athlete of the Week. So let me get rid of the graphic, and we will start talking about what happened at Seaforth's game. I guess they played at Croatan on Friday.
Yeah, Seaforth, after a really exhilarating, historic comeback win over South Brunswick in that first game of the playoffs, they went to Croatan and faced a really good team there. Going into that game 9-1, of course, coming out of that one 10-1 after Croatan won that one 49-13. And then this one, it was just going down and stopping the run and turnovers for Seaforth on the offensive end. On defense, Seaforth really had no answer for Croatan running back Andrew Boucher. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He had a school record 7 touchdowns on the ground in that one, and he ended the night with over 200 yards rushing as well. So he put the game away early in that first half, 4 first-half touchdowns, including a 57-yard run. But in this game, watching the beginning of it, Seaforth was in it, though, for a few of those first few minutes, especially in that first quarter. They responded to the first long touchdown with their own score. They were able to move the ball, but offensively, they just couldn't limit the turnovers. Duncan Parker threw 3 interceptions in this one. I think they also lost a fumble in the second half as well, and that halted a lot of those drives and swung the momentum just too far in Croatan's direction for them to come back after trailing 28-7 at halftime. So Seaforth did end their season in that game last Friday night, but nothing to really hold their heads down for. I mean, it was a historic year for Seaforth as a program. They really took that next step forward with Tolbert Matthews taking over this season. First time winning 6 games, most in program history. First time winning a share of the conference title. First time making the playoffs. First playoff win. It was a lot of firsts for this program this season. And not only did we see, I know, Duncan didn't have the best game last Friday, but he did step up in a big way this season as a passer, as a quarterback, as a leader for this team. And we saw a lot of improvement from him over the year. We also saw, of course, a great season from the 2 seniors that Tolbert knew were his guys from pretty much day one when we had the media day back in August. Patrick Miller and Nick Gregory, 2 guys who did plenty of things in both offensively, defensively, and the special teams, especially with Nick Gregory and his ability to take back a few punts and kickoffs this year. And we also saw the emergence of some other guys for Seaforth this year as well. Max Hinchman as a deep field threat at receiver. Jude O'Neill also went in the short, quick game as another receiver for them. Defensive end Tyler Truesdale emerged as a key guy at linebacker. Noah Williams on the other side at corner did some good things. I mean, there was a lot of players that had a lot of impact on the success of this team this year. And I know they are graduating a pretty good senior class. There's some guys coming back like Parker, like Max Hinchman, like Jude O'Neill that should make for another pretty good C4 team next year. So excited to see what they can do after this season and if they can build on this success and take it to the next level next fall.
So that's basically the big sports roundup from the high school football perspective. Hey, I got a quick question. I know that there's been schools that have been making university colleges making offers to high schoolers. Do you know if on the football side, or do you want to just talk about that next on our next live stream?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what where our football players are in recruitment as of right now. I know C4 did sign 10 new athletes to colleges last week as well, and that's a story in this week's paper. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's across different sports. So definitely got some college buzz here in Chatham County recently, as far as even yesterday, and we'll talk about that pretty soon as well. But
All right, we'll say that to when you tackle in the paper. That's another reason for people to pick up the paper today. So, all right, anything else on the football stuff?
nope, I think that's it. And yeah, we'll have of course we'll have all conference teams coming out in this week's paper with the end of the fall season, and then also be on the lookout for a all county team. I plan on doing one this year from requests from coaches that want to see some guys put together on an all Chattanooga record county team. So I'm going to make one this year as well. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, yes, I'm glad you're doing that because actually I was going to touch base with you on it because you're doing the athlete of the week, which is really popular with our viewers and your readers and the all county team. The paper did the Chatham News and Record used to do that. I'm glad that you're bringing that back because you've had an opportunity to watch a whole bunch of action this year in Chatham County, and there's been some individuals that have really stood out. So that coming out in this? That's not going to be in this week's paper. It's going to be is it next week's paper or the week after?
I'm not sure exactly when I'll have it ready because I do want to reach out to some people to get
Yep.
idea. So, but it'll be before the end of this year though. I think I want to wait till after all football is done across the whole state because we still got state championships left in a few weeks too. So I think that would be a good time to get that in there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And also on the conference honors, is that in this week's paper for you, or is that coming out in next week's paper?
That'll be coming out in next week's paper. So the Thanksgiving edition will have fall all conference for all of our fall sports.
All right, and next week's paper, that's coming out on Wednesday, not on Thursday. Is that correct?
I think it's still going. It might be Wednesday.
Because I think usually they'll put it out on the day before when there's Thanksgiving week. So it doesn't matter, folks. Asheebo's got a lot coming out next week. You also need to pick up the paper this week because Asheebo's going to tell us a little bit more about what he's got in the paper this week. If for no other reason, you need to pick up the paper just because of Asheebo's articles. All right. Soccer playoffs. That's pretty much done for Chatham County as well. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on that?
Yeah, you guys remember last week we had Jordan Matthews playing Southwestern Randolph in the third round. Jordan Matthews playing them for the third time this season, and they did fall in that one. Southwestern Randolph, of course, won that one, and it was a weird conditions with the cold and the windiness that really hurt Jordan Matthews' ability to get a score there. And of course, playing at Southwestern Randolph, a really good team that's got a lot of experience, a lot of seniors. They were just too much for the Jets in that one. And so they're actually playing in the state championship this weekend for 4A and will be making their second straight appearance trying to get a title after these last two successful years. So we'll see if the Jets conference foes will get it done this weekend. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of boys soccer. I think we talked about Woods. They had a very successful year as well with Coach Graham Stewart and the boys. Just a pretty historic year as far as wins. I think most wins in a couple years. I want to say since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. But I know we talked a little bit about it in the previous weeks. But just hats off to them on another great year as well. And yeah, but fall sports has come to a close now here in Chatham County. So I think we're all full throttle into basketball. Wrestling has started as well, and I'm sure you guys want to hear a lot about the start of those sports, which we've had going on so far these past 2 weeks.
All right, yeah, let's go. Let's kick into that. As Asheebo mentioned, fall sports are done with. Northwood had their sports banquet on Sunday, I think at 6:00. They gave out awards at that, and Northwood Booster Club on their Facebook page has also got pictures of some of the award winners there. All right, do you want to start off with basketball season kicking off because there's been a lot going on there. I think there's also been some coaching changes as well. Why don't you tell folks what what you've learned so far early in the season.
Yeah, so before we even get into scores, yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like you said, the coaching changes. Of course, we had Stacey Harris taking over for Robert Burke prior to the season for Chatham Central's boys, and he got his first win last week, and you can read more about that in this week's paper as well. But we also had C4 girls basketball coach Charles Bird stepping down over the weekend, and with that, the team will be coached by their assistants Antonio Hayes and Kimberly Brower for the time being. Talked with Seaford AD, uh, Jared, and Jared Worley, and he talked about they're going to be interviewing during this week and starting the process of trying to find a new head coach for the program. But like I said, as of now, the assistants who have been there with Charles all this time, they're going to take over and handle the reins of that program for now. So something to watch there as C4 starts their season tomorrow, hosting Middle Creek with the girls and boys both playing that night. But as far as scores going in, we had a big one between Northwood and Southeast Alamance to start the season for the Chargers on Tuesday. Southeast Alamance actually defeated Northwood 70-62. And which to me was a pretty shocking result. You know, Northwood coming into the season, they felt really good about what their approach was as far as the amount of scores they had. Of course, Cam Fowler coming into his senior year after averaging 20 points per game as a junior. But Southeast Alamance, you know, program we've been kind of seeing rise up and up on the boys' side, at least, because we know the girls won state last year. But on the boys' side, they've been putting together some pretty good teams. Last year, they gave teams like Northwood, Chatham Central, some good runs in those meetings when they were all in the Mid Carolina 1A 2A conference. And this year, it looks like they're really taking that next step. So they beat Northwood 70-62. Like I said, in that one, I watched a little bit of the film and from the highlights because we didn't have a full stream on NFHS, but looked like Northwood just really struggled with turnovers. I mean, Southeast Alamance put the pressure on them really good. A lot of hands on balls, tip balls out going out for transition, and a lot of 3-pointers as well that Southeast Alamance hit in that game. So yeah, great win for Southeast. We actually get a rematch of that game Tuesday at Northwood for both boys and girls. So that'll be an interesting matchup. If you guys want to see some pre-Thanksgiving basketball action here in the county. But other scores around the county as well this week. We had Jordan Matthews getting their first win over Phoenix Academy, 63-56. So the boys 1-1 on the season. Chatham Charter's boys got a 61-47 win over Cornerstone Charter. And then that one, Braylon Harris went off for 21 points. And then the Woods Charter, the boys, 52-41 win over Research Triangle on Monday. And that one, Campbell Blackburn had 14 points. And the Wolves, 2-0 for the first time since 2013. So they're looking also to make another step after 2 straight playoff appearances. Coach Leonard McNair and the guys doing some good things with Woods Charter after many years of disappointing seasons, but now starting to see some wins and some success here. So just a rundown of the scores from this week in basketball. Of course, we have scores from last week where a lot of teams played for the first time last week as well in this week's paper and our Winter Sports Roundup. And then in girls basketball, Southeast Alamance and Northwood. Southeast Alamance, the 2A defending champs, got a 73-32 win over the Chargers. Like I said, they're going to rematch each other at Northwood on Tuesday. And then Phoenix Academy beat Jordan Matthews 52-38. So the Jets still looking for their first win of the season here. And then Chatham Charter, they got a 29-19 low-scoring win over Cornerstone Charter. And in that one, Peyton York led the way with 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. Camille Austin, I think, had 3 points in this game, but she also had 7 rebounds and 4 steals as well. So great low score win for Chatham Charter there. And then Woods Charter, 39-15 win over Research Triangle this week. And player to watch for Woods Charter, I know talked about Wesley Oliver being the leader, the senior leader for this team, and she had been great for the past 3 seasons, still great this season as well, and someone that Coach Carmen Wood is really looking to rely on to bring that leadership and set the tone for this team. But we got a younger player in Valentina Podyalenskaya. Hope I'm saying that right. Valentina. She had 18 points in the win over Research Triangle. She's averaging 14 points per game this season. So she's got off to a hot start and helping the Wolves get off to a good start as well. I think they're, I want to say 2-1 on the season, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 3-1. But they're also playing some pretty good basketball to start the year. So, Gene, what you think of the early basketball results so far?
Well, I think they're just kicking off. I totally agree with you. I was surprised that Northwood lost that game. And again, they got an opportunity to do a rematch on Tuesday night. You also mentioned the stuff going on with Woods. I know last year, Coach Berry, who at one time had coached at Woods, he coached primarily the boys basketball team, and I think he coached the girls basketball team at Woods for a year or two. Last year, Woods met up against Seaforth at Seaforth. Again, Seaforth's the stronger cool school from a basketball perspective, but it was still fun. Actually, a lot of coach, I think I saw about a half dozen former players of Coach Berry when he was coaching at Woods come out and watch that game. So it was a fun game, and I think both coaches enjoyed it because Woods coach had at one time played for the Seaforth coach, so that was a nice reunion. Are they playing again this year? Do you know?
Actually, I think they are. Let me check. I think they are playing again in December, around
Is that what it is?
around the same time. It's going to be December 4th. It's going to be at Woods Charter this year. So
Okay.
yep. So we'll get another
Yeah.
reunion between the two coaches and see how that one goes. And I think that one, it could be, like I said, it could be even closer this year. I think Woods. I think they're a team that could surprise some people in 1A. So we'll see. Also, I want to shout out Aaliyah Roberts from Northwood as well. Even though they lost that game to Southeast Alamance, she had 15 points in that one, but she also earned her second offer to Averett University after that game. So congrats to Aaliyah. She's picking up the college attention down there in Pittsburgh. So continuing to shoot the lights out down in Pittsburgh and make a name for herself and get noticed. So congrats to Aaliyah Roberts, and we'll see if the Chargers can bounce back on Tuesday against Southeast. But then again, Gene, like we said, it's always good to see that type of competition. And I know from what I heard, those girls and Northwood actually play with the girls at Southeast in AAU. So they know each other a little bit and have a little bit of a friendly rivalry in that game. So we'll see how the second matchup goes for that.
Yeah, congratulations to Leah. I know I've talked with her mom and dad during the flag football season, and she was a quarterback for the winning the Northwood flag football champs under Coach Whitaker. So that was fun to watch her, and I wonder, and I think there were 4 other basketball players that played flag football this season as well. So it's going to be interesting to see some of the skills that they picked up in flag football if that carries over into basketball. But definitely looking forward to it. I'm putting down December 4th because my kids went to Woods Charter, and actually 2 of my sons played for Coach Berry when he's at Woods. And it's just it's a fun game. It's an opportunity for 2 local schools to play against each other. So it's nice that they're playing at Woods because last year they played over at Seaforth. So that's all I've got to say for basketball. I'm looking forward to it because I think next week the only big thing is going on is Tuesday, isn't it? It's the Northwood game. Is anyone else playing next week?
I'm not completely sure if the whole
Okay.
schedule. I'm sure. Yeah, we probably will have more teams playing, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not. I apologize for putting you on the
Oh,
spot,
you
but
good.
next week is a slow sports week.
Oh,
There's a lot of people who are getting ready for Thanksgiving. I know there's a lot of folks that be heading out of town on Wednesday so they can spend time with family members outside of Chatham County, or they have family members coming to Chatham County. So there's a whole bunch. Before we continue, hey, I want to thank everybody who's been watching. We've gotten over 2,000 views last week. Again, we usually get we get about 200 folks to stop off between the for the live noon feed, but a lot of you folks come in afterwards whenever you get a chance. Speaking of Aaliyah, her mom's on. Melody Roberts is on. We got Wes Murray, Parker, Jackson Mueller. If I mispronounced that, Jackson, forgive me. Let's see. We got Richard Ray, Toby Watson. So thank you all for watching. Again, that's who's showing up on, because I do keep an eye on the Facebook page. And a reminder, we're also on X and YouTube. But once again, thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate Asheebo doing this because, as he's multimedia. So, and I'm going to put this up, just a reminder. That's Asheebo R38 on X. So if you need to follow him, because if he's at a game, he will be texting, and then after the games, he does post game interviews with the coaches and the players. So that's always nice to be out there. So not only do you need to watch him here and follow him on X, but you do need to pick up the paper that comes out every week on Thursdays. All right, I need to quit yik yakking and let's get into the next thing. Do we want to talk about indoor track or do we want to talk about wrestling?
I was talking about wrestling. I don't think we had too much going on with indoor track as of yet. Definitely not last week, so didn't have many updates with that in this week's paper. But we did have some wrestling stuff going on the past 2 weeks. This week, Jordan Matthews hosted a quad with a couple teams, including Chatham Central, excuse me. And in this one, on the boys' side, Jordan Matthews picked up 3 wins, 48 to 33 over Central Carolina, 48 to 27 over Chatham Central, and 60 to 18 over Lee County. So the boys' dual record right now 5-4 after a pretty rough start, but they want to get some good teams to start the year, but have bounced back strong in the past 2 quad meets. And then for Chatham Central, outside of the Jordan Matthews matchup, they did lose to Central Carolina 42 to 34, but they beat Lee County 54 to 18. So boys are 1-2 in duels this season. Also around the county, Northwoods boys 2-0 in duels. Jordan Matthews girls are 2-0 we're 2-0 at the home duel this past week, 2-3-1 overall. And Northwoods girls are also 2-0 in duels. Chatham Central's girls 1-1 there at the duel at Jordan Matthews. They lost to Lee County. They beat Lee County 12-6, but lost to Jordan Matthews 30-6. So just an update on wrestling, and as well with Seaforth last week. I don't think they have done a duel as a team yet, but they've been doing some individual tournaments. And last week, Harrison Compton, their 190-pound wrestler, he finished first at the Wolverine Invitational after beating Millbrook's Matthew Doby in a 14-13 decision. So congrats to Harrison Compton, earning him some hardware early this season. I'm sure Seaforth is gearing up for another successful year with the talented wrestlers they have on their roster. So, like I said, yeah, winter sports is pretty much in full effect. Also, we have had something with swimming with Chatham Central's lone swimmer, Jesse Escalin. Last night, he finished first in the 100 freestyle and the 50 freestyle as well. So he picked up some early hardware as well in an early meet. So county athletes already off to a good start here in the winter season. Like I said, we'll have more coverage as more of the winter sports kick up, especially after Thanksgiving. Because next week we'll be really slow with sports, but we'll have more coverage as well coming at you in the paper and here on our stream. So, anything else on winter sports, Gene?
No, I think that kind of wraps up the coverage on the winter sports. Do want to let folks know, Asheebo and I talked about it, because next week's going to be kind of slow. And from what I'm gathering, a whole bunch of you folks are going to be heading out of town or just worrying about getting set up for Thanksgiving. So we will not have a live stream on next week. We thought about doing it Wednesday, and it's like, no, we'll have one coming up the following week. And as I mentioned, couple weeks ago, we're going to try to get some of our coaches on as well. You folks enjoyed that last year. The coaches enjoyed doing it. So we're going to try to bring some of those on board and share their information with you folks. So let's get into what's in the paper, because you got a bunch of stuff in the paper today. So why don't you tell us what you got in the Chatham News and Record when folks pick it up today?
Yeah, so of course we have a recap of Seaforth football's last game against Croatan. We have our winter sports roundup. And then we also have a volleyball postseason awards, so all state and all region honors. We have, I think, 9 athletes across multiple schools here earned some postseason awards for their outstanding season. So you can read more about that as well. And then here in the paper as well, we had some feature on Lynn Gaines, who won a amateur putt-putt golf national championship in Florida. So you can read more about his story, his background with putt-putt golf, and now his journey to being a national champion, which is a big honor for him. He got a lot of great recognition, not just from the amateurs, but also from professional putters as well. And also, too, like I said, we have a small thing on C4 girls basketball coach Charles Bird stepping down for the season. And I think that is it. Yeah, like I said, it was quite a lot in this week's paper. Also too, I'm forgetting. I knew I was forgetting something. Like I said, the signees from C4, they had 10 athletes signed to colleges last week. They had a big signing day, so that included Callie O'Neill going to UNC women's soccer, Josie Valgus signing TCU volleyball, uh, other athletes as well across the cross, girls basketball, women's soccer, just a whole bunch of athletes signing to continue their careers on the next level. And you can read more about that in the paper as well. So a lot of seniors that maybe either just finished their seasons or still have a season left to play and already got that pressure off of them. They know where they're going. So there's nothing left to do than just go out and have fun in this last year. So you'll read more about our standout athletes and where they're going.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to add to folks, and the Asheebo started doing this last year, actually maybe before last year. He keeps track of the student athletes that have gone to school here in Chatham County and gone on to play in college, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3. So those articles do show up. We touched briefly on them on a live stream, but if you want to read more information, you definitely got to pick up the paper. And you do that, a couple times a year, I think, at least.
Yeah.
Where you round up what the various student athletes from the county are doing on the collegiate level. All right, let's get into everybody's favorite. And I know it's everybody's favorite because I get texts on this. They want to know who's Asheebo of the week is. So Asheebo, why don't you let folks know who your athlete of the week is this week?
Yeah, athlete of the week, we're going down to Woods Charter boys basketball, and it's going to be Levi Haygood, the junior forward. He's going to earn it this week after his performance against News Charter on Friday in the Wolves season opener. That won 25 minutes. He had a career high 20 points alongside with 10 rebounds and 9 assists. So he had a double-double and was just 1 assist away from a triple-double to start the season. And yeah, Levi Haygood, that's a big name. You guys need to know this season, especially with Woods Charter boys basketball, 2-time all-conference player, and he was a Wolves leading rebounder last season. And now he's looking to add more to his game, make that jump as an all-around player, which he's been doing a good job of so far this season. So congrats to Levi, wishing him and the rest of the Wolves best of luck this season. Like we said, as they try to make another step and not just get to the playoffs, but maybe win a playoff game and get a little deeper in the state tournament this year. So congrats to Levi and the Woods Charter basketball program.
Yeah, congratulations, Levi. Congratulations to Woods. Good to see that you folks are stepping up the game this year. Just also want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to be closing this up in shortly, but I do want to let you folks know that, yes, the power rankings for basketball will be back again this season. It's interesting. We have fun with it, and I know that Asheebo and I have talked to several of the coaches. They sometimes use that as incentive for their teams. And I think Coach Matthews actually called you out one time on one of your predictions in the power rankings. He's like, "Hey, man, I think we should be here," and Asheebo's got him here. So we enjoy doing it. It's a conversation piece, and it's all in fun. And Levi, congratulations. All right, that's all I got on my list. You got anything else before we close this down, Asheebo?
No, I think that's it. Like I said, we're making the transition now. I think we're all the way in the winter sport. So after Thanksgiving, it's going to kick up some more. We'll have a lot more basketball coverage. And yeah, like Gene said, hopefully we can get some coaches on here to talk, especially with everybody being in different conferences. It's going to be a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different storylines going on this season that you guys can follow. So we appreciate you guys watching as always. We hope you guys have a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family, and we will see you all in 2 weeks.
All right, folks, remember, we're gone next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks, and Asheebo's going to have loads of stuff. And also a reminder, just because we're not going to be here doesn't mean you can't pick up the Chatham News and Record, because Asheebo keeps on working, and he will have articles in next week's Chatham News and Record newspaper. So you need to pick that up. But we'll see you back here on the live stream in 2 weeks. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. And also, we do appreciate when you come out and say hey to us when we're out of the game. As I said, Asheebo's usually not spending a whole bunch of time up in the press box. He's walking the fields, and he's actually at basketball and volleyball games. He's in the stands with the You sometimes hang out with the parents, don't you?
Yes,
Just watching and keeping track of what's going on there. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.